by Mitchell over 300. A lot of those yards after beatdown, but you can see some improvements coming with the Tiger Cats as well. Meanwhile, if you haven't heard, it's an all-Canadian QB matchup. BC Lions and Nathan Rourke taking on Trey Ford in the Edmonton Elks. It's the first time in the opening week that two Canadian QBs have gone head-to-head. The first time since Canadian QBs have gone head-to-head since 1968. Trey Ford, as we were saying yesterday on the show, Lapo, when you're a backup quarterback, it is like the greatest job in the entire world. You come in, you win some games, you don't, it doesn't really matter. It's like the person waiting in the wings. Well, now they gave him the 3-year contract extension. They have given the reins to him, and now he's got to produce. What are you looking forward to in Trey?
I'm looking forward to a Jordan McSimick's offense and the progression style where there's quick throws, get the ball to your hand quickly. I'm looking to see Trey Ford play within that system, the things he can do within that. And then when you see here, he's also got the ability to use his legs. I guarantee you they will have one of the best deep ball throwing football teams in the CFL. He does have a great strong arm because he's going to scramble around. And Davis, as you know, as a defensive back, when you're scrambling around, zones break down, and he's going to be able to locate and hit those 30-yard bombs downfield because guys are wide open because he uses his legs.
All right, we'll get to your thoughts in just a minute, but first let's get to Farhan Lalji, who is standing by with Trey Ford.
Trey, so much excitement around this week and this game, but for you specifically, what do you do to stay focused through this?
I mean, you know, the stage is always going to be big, right? That's just what it is. I'm just here to play football, so that's what I'm going to focus on.
I want to ask you about just how you developed within this system. Jordan McSimick has had success with other quarterbacks. You've got a lot of talent offensively. How do you just be that distributor?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just do my job. I don't try to do anything, you know, extraordinary. I just keep it simple, play the X's and O's.
Thanks for this.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you. Okay, perfect.
All right, let's go to the other quarterback now, in Nathan Rourke. And I think Lion fans are really hoping that he gets back to that 2022 form because he's with the team now in the offseason through training camp. Now he's got Buck Pierce's playbook as well. I mean, there's a lot of optimism with this quarterback as well, Ches.
Yeah, you just heard just on Trey real fast, you heard him say he doesn't have to do it or want to do anything extraordinary. That's going to be pretty tough if anybody's watched that guy play. I mean, he is extraordinary. The one who needs to really dish the ball and be a point guard and execute is Nathan on the other side. That's really what he does so well. I think the further along, and the fact that he stayed there all offseason, I know we've talked about it a lot, it makes a difference. Dave Naylor's talked about it over and over again about how many playbooks this guy's had in the past 2 years. But it's a fact. Now, he's been there all offseason. He's worked with these guys. I think this offense gets better and better every week. The key to me is protecting this young man. His skill set's undeniable, folks. I said it a million times. I don't care where he's from, where he's born. His skill set is elite. If they protect him, this offense is going to be explosive.
Listen, both of these guys can do it. We know that. Nathan Rourke, he had a great season before. He did his little run in the NFL and he came back. He wants to reestablish himself. Trey Ford, we've seen flashes for the beginning of his career. We saw what he can do. You can have a great angle on him, but a lot of defenders can't make the tackle on him. Now, I want to see their progression as well. I want to see their leadership because both of these quarterbacks are going to have to find a way to get all of the players in the locker room to buy in and start to believe in them. And it starts from game one. Now, look, we talked about it earlier. You can do that. You can win the locker room by the play on the field or off the field as well. But winning always helps you doing that as well.
I think Nathan Rourke may have a worse year statistically than a couple of years ago. And that's okay. Why? Because when Buck Pierce came in, they said, we want to run the football more. We want to make sure we don't put it all on the quarterback. So maybe they run the football better, take some pressure off, then allows him to take those shots downfield to create the explosive touchdowns. So I think that's going to, 2 years ago, it was he threw it, but they didn't establish that run game, that mentality you need in the West. So his numbers may drop. That's okay if he wins games.
I mean, what's going to be the biggest hurdle for them to run the football, do you think, looking at BC? What's the biggest hurdle?
Just young up front. They got to get, they got to figure out their O-line situation and kind of change that, see what Coach Charbonneau can do over there.
One thing I want to watch tonight, too, other than Snoop D-O-double-G, is out.
I was just getting to that. You just, come on, Ches. Let's hang on a minute there.
You still got it.
Okay.
Watch the distance between Trey Ford and the defensive line when he drops back. Because he's been known to drop back 15, 20 yards, and the bigger the gap is between him and the D-line, the harder it is for them to bring him down. That's why this league is so good for him.
Doug Flutie issue. That's what Doug Flutie did.
Wow.
Whoa,
we are going all the way to the top of that one. You heard it right here. All right, Davis already teased it, but you know what? BC just does it right when it comes to home openers. Over 50,000 in attendance. And this year, they welcome legendary rapper Snoop Dogg to Vancouver to kick things off.
I think I see some California girls in the crowd. Where them California girls at? Let's take a change. Tone, tan, fit and ready. Turn it up because it's getting heavy. Wow, wow, West Coast. These are the ones I love the most. I mean the ones I mean like she's the one. Kiss her, touch her, squeeze her buns. Yeah, the girl's a freak, she drives the Jeep and lives on the beach peak. I'm okay, I won't play. I love the bay, just like I love LA. Venice Beach and Palm Springs. Summertime is everything. Homeboys banging out. All that ass hanging out. Bikinis, takinis, martinis. No weenies, just the king and the queenie. Katie, my lady. Now look at here, baby. You know I'm all up on ya, cause you're representing California. Where them California girls at? Let's go, girls. Put your pom-poms in the air. Sing it with me one time. California girl. Fine, fresh, stiff. Shout out to the California girls.
Shout out to the Canadian girls. Time to grab a gin and juice. Week 1 wraps up with history. 2 Canadian QBs going at it in Week 1. Coming up next.
The big question for the Edmonton Elks is, can Trey Ford excel as a full-time starting quarterback?
On the run, now down the field. Got him in!
I have not seen an athlete escape like he can escape. Doug Flutie wasn't that good at eluding.
Nathan Rourke, he's finally adapting back to the CFL.
Down the field, has him in. Touchdown, Eberhardt.
Okay, I'm saying it now. Nathan Rourke is back.
Eugene Shearman of Edmonton, Alberta. This is your chance to win big. Thanks to Save on Foods' $1 Million touchdown to win. If a kickoff is returned for a touchdown, you could win groceries for a year. If 2 kickoffs are returned for touchdowns, you could win $1 million. Let's get you to Vancouver and join Rod Smith in Glen Suitor.
Welcome to beautiful Vancouver. A nice sunny Saturday night, getting set for another season opener as we welcome our viewers not only on TSN but the CBS Sports Network as well. Glad you could be with us. This is where the season ended a year ago with the Grey Cup in November, but it starts now, Glenn, with the Elks and the Lions, both with Canadian starting quarterbacks. Somewhat historic. We know them well. Let's start with Trey Ford because this year is different. He is officially Edmonton's #1 QB.
Yeah, in the offseason, the Edmonton organization restructured Trey Ford's contract. He has the 100% confidence from his head coach, new head coach Mark Killam. So yeah, this is Trey Ford's team. And for Nathan Rourke, the question in Vancouver is, can he get back to that same form from the 2022 season where this team was 8-1 to start the year?
We got 2 new head coaches making their debuts. Buck Pierce, longtime offensive coordinator in Winnipeg, and of course a quarterback here in BC from 2005 to 2009, and Mark Killam. You think of him as a Calgary Stampeder suits, 20 years as an assistant with the Stamps, and now head coach in Edmonton underway. Javon Leake has it for the Elks, looking for a better start than they have in the last couple of years. And here is Trey Ford coming on, the official #1. He has 18 previous starts in the CFL.
Well, last year, Edmonton started 0-7. Trey Ford didn't see the field through that losing streak, and then when he did start, proved the record to 4-1 was Ford's record. Did get injured after a first 3 starts last year, but it was a different team when he was at the helm.
And he'll take the exchange from David Beard, the veteran center, back in Northern Alberta for 2 years in Hamilton, handing off. And it is Justin Rankin. And he had a breakout in the second half of the season last year, switching his number to #5. Let's take a closer look at that Edmonton Elks offense.
Well, on the O-line, one late Well, that's the BC Lion O-line. We'll get back to that shortly.
They've undergone some changes as well.
Yes, both teams.
But I think the biggest one, mentioning Beard back in Mark Horty's suits back at guard where he's...
Well, we also got Brett Boyko, who was a last-minute scratch here, and the rookie Mark Evans will start at right tackle.
2nd and 10. And that one nearly intercepted. Nearly picked off. BC was the veteran Gary Peters with a chance to nab it. And instead, they will get the ball, but Edmonton will have a chance to punt it away.
Yes, Zach Mathis over there on the sideline. It looked like there was a confusion in the route. Mathis, he was in the slot, tried to bang rope back inside. He was looking like Trey Ford thought he was going to run the straight out route, and they both sort of communicated walking off the field.
The punter, former Stampeder Cody Grace, made the move north to Edmonton after 4 years in Calgary, getting it away. Taking it inside the 30. That's Tremaine Jackson with it. In his first year with the BC Lions in the CFL, getting it up to the 34. So after a punt of 51 yards, here comes Nathan Rourke. Absolutely stellar in 2022 and came back midseason, Glenn, last year from the NFL, and a bit more of a struggle for him.
Well, different team, same offensive coordinator at the time, but a very different team. For instance, Justin McInnes, the leading receiver from last year, wasn't in the lineup when Rourke returned. Or when Rourke had the big year in 22, I should say.
Last year, 1,782 yards and 4 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Throwing here and puts it in nicely. The Keon Hatcher, they worked together so well back in 22. First pass, he's got a completion and a first down, BC.
Good patience right out the gate on first down for Nathan Rourke. He's going to go on the roll here after the play action and just wait for his #1 target back in 22, Keon Hatcher, to open up in that curl.
They run tempo, throwing again, completing again, too, up near the 50 of Edmonton to Justin McInnes.
Big trade in the offseason for the BC Lions, bringing in Dejan Allen to play right tackle. They had to improve that O-line. He certainly will help. In the receiving core, there's Justin McInnes, the leading receiver from last season. 1,469 yards.
Yeah, and Pierce saying, taking on the duties of a head coach and staying on calling the plays as an offensive coordinator, as he has done in the past with Winnipeg. So short yardage needed. They get more than that. James Butler then puts his head down and shoulders into it and pushes for a few more. Butler back in BC, where he did very well, a 1,000-yard rusher back in 2022.
Well, very important, and he, different style of running back than William Stanback, who was here with the Lions last year, but one that Nathan Rourke is very familiar with. Catches the ball very well out of the backfield too, James Butler.
Something Rourke really likes in a back, and said they were teammates back in 22 and last couple of seasons. Butler had been in Hamilton. 1st and 10 at the Edmonton 38. Good drive going here by the Lions to start things out. That one off to the sideline. It is caught. It is another catch and another first down for BC, and that is Stanley Berryhill with his first catch of 2025.
The accuracy on the throw is outstanding from Rourke. He takes that drop, flips his hips to that wide side out, and pulls Berryhill right back to the sideline. That takes the defender, the corner, right out of it. Makes him come all the way back, but just beyond the marker.
Rourke and that Lions offense, perfect so far, down to the Edmonton 24. Scoring position now. And Rourke takes the handoff, rolls to the right, completes again inside the 10, inside the 5, a 1st and goal. Coming up here now, and it's Javon Catoy as another receiver gets involved in the Nathan Rourke offense.
Couple of options for Rourke here. He's got the back and the flat and that curl that sits out. Watch as he takes this to the right. He just is patient. Whatever the defender does, he's wrong. If he jumps the out route, the flat route from the back, he goes into that curl like he does there. Javon Catoy, 4 for 4. Nathan Rourke in drive #1.
4 for 4 for 58 yards. And they are pressing, threatening. Red zone inside the 5. BC handing off. And down to the 2 is Butler. No further there. Jared Brinkman coming over from Toronto in on the tackle of Butler.
Speaking of coming over from Toronto, there's a few on the Edmonton defense, starting with Jake Serezna on that defensive line. 8 sacks for him in 17 games last year. Back to the linebacking core. This is the heart of their defense, and they return from last year. Nick Anderson and Niles Morgan, and then Royce Metier and Tyrell Ford, newcomers at safety and on the corner.
7th play of this opening drive, 2nd and goal. Work. They keep it and push down a little bit closer, but did not get there. We got a 3rd down and short coming up here for BC. And it's Chase Bryce, coming in for short yardage at quarterback, and looks to be staying in 2 for the Lions.
Well, let's see. First decision for Buck Pierce in the head coach role and the play calling role.
Chase Bryce, the number 2 in the depth and the short yardage quarterback in his 3rd year out of Appalachian State. 3rd down, goal to go. At the line, pushing. And there's the signal for a touchdown. Touchdown BC. Bryce got it barely, breaking the plane, and the Lions strike first on their opening possession.
Great opening drive for Nathan Rourke in this offense. He looks very sharp. Let's take a look and see if Chase Bryce's knee touches the ground before he reaches across the goal line. The ball does break the plane when he reached. The question is, did that knee hit the ground first before he stretched? We'll take another look at it from a different angle.
Under review by the command center.
It's under review now. I'm not sure it did.
Well, that's a close call, and that's a turnover if it's not a touchdown. An 8-play drive, but wasn't capped off with a major score. Still waiting to see as the command center will take a look. Like that knee might have been down before the ball broke the plane.
Well, the question is the knee. So if you stop it right now, just a half right there. Yeah, is that knee down before the ball crosses the plane? And that's what they're reviewing and continuing to review.
Wow, that is close. It looks like it might have been down. This may not count. That'd be huge for the Elks to take over on downs. Here is the referee, Andrew Wakefield.
After review, the ball carrier was down prior to reaching over the goal line. It's 1st down Edmonton at the 1-yard line.
Andrew Wakefield, longtime official, his first game as a referee, and they at the command center had a big decision there for Mark Killam and the Elks. BC pushed them down the field, but they got the stop when they needed it most. It has been well over 50 years the last time 2 Canadian quarterbacks started against each other in a CFL game. You have to go back to BC's Pete Oler against Edmonton's Frank Cosentino in 1968. Bear in mind, too, there was a guy by the name of Russ Jackson that year, so Canadian quarterbacks of plenty, but that was the last time, so somewhat historic to see Nathan Rourke going up against Trey Ford in this game.
It really is a cool storyline in this game, and when you look at that guy on the right, Trey Ford, that's a U Sport graduate from Waterloo.
Making his 19th CFL start. Got Justin Rankin in the backfield, and now the flags will come out with the movement along the line of scrimmage.
You know, we talked to Mark Killam this week.
We'll replay 1st down.
Heading into this game, we asked him, you know, how much confidence he has in Trey Ford and how Trey has come in, been the first guy in, last guy to leave, that kind of thing, and done everything he needed to do to take that leadership role after they restructured his contract in the offseason.
No harm in the penalty because they can't push it back any further. It's still a 1st and 10. Edmonton. Ford to pass for the 2nd time in this game, and that one goes incomplete, intended for Stephen Dunbar, who's also back in Edmonton after returning to Hamilton last year.
Take a look at the offensive line. There's Mark Evans that's starting for Brett Boyko. Last-minute scratch here in warm-up for Jordan Maksimic, the offensive coordinator, and they may have to lean on their run game as this offense gets settled in, and that means Justin Rankin and Javon Leake. We'll see both.
Maksimic back in Edmonton, of course, had been BC's OC. Running around his forward on 2nd down and 10. Decides to take off. And he gets a first down up over the 15. The dangerous running of Trey Ford. We have seen that aspect of his game several times. He waited, couldn't find anybody, took off and gets the first down.
Well, there's going to be a balancing act for Trey Ford this year. And yes, this is a big part of his game. In fact, he can make all 12 defenders miss. That's how good he is at scrambling with the football and taking off and running. However, he wants to not take more hits than he has to. Got down pretty quick once he saw that tackle coming.
And he is closing in on 1,000 yards rushing for his career in now 3+ seasons. Handing off Justin Rankin. And the Lions have him all tied up again. The second rushing attempt for Rankin, and there is nowhere to go. It'll be a 2nd and 10 coming up.
Well, speaking of guys that I think BC fans would like to see regain that form from a couple of years ago, Matthew Betts, who had 18 sacks 2 years ago. Micah Awe, off-season signing for the BC Lions, is it playing in his 100th game, and very different corners for the BC Lions. Gary Peters, we know. The newcomer on the other side is Robert Carter, and I'm see if Trey Ford tests Carter on that corner.
Actually a loss of a yard for Rankin on the tackle by Matthew Betts. Here we go in a 2nd down and 11, and Ford's under pressure again. Tries to dump it off to Rankin. That one goes low. So the drive comes to an end, and the Elks, still a 0-0 game, but they'll have to punt deep in their own zone.
Yeah, this is going to be very good field position for Nathan Rourke coming out on offense. So Mark Killam, who is a special team specialist in his career as a coach in the CFL, getting his first chance to be the guy on the sideline.
Many years as special teams coordinator, first under John Hufnagel, then Dave Dickinson.
How many years have we talked about him as the next potential head coach? It feels like a decade.
Well, he had a lot of job applications trying to get in, and this was the 6th time, and finally gets it. Ball comes out, and Lions do have it. An alert play right there by Patrice Rene on special teams after Jermaine Jackson couldn't hang on to it. So a good break there for the Lions as they do keep the football up at the BC 49 in a 0-0 tie. Nathan Rourke back in the field with the Lions offense. In his time in the CFL, Nathan Rourke has had more success against Edmonton than any other team. Just look at those numbers against the Elks, especially that completion percentage.
Well, and yardage. I mean, that's closing in on 400 yards per game. You start putting those kind of numbers up on the board. That's what Vancouver fans remember.
Yep, 4 for 4, 58 yards. In 2022, he completed over 78% of his passes. That's a record for a single season. And he eludes the rush. He gets rid of it. And no, nearly he had a target. It's Aiden Eberhardt who loses his helmet out of bounds. Could not hang on. Nearly another connection right there from Rourke to Eberhardt.
Well, Nathan Rourke gets outside of the rush here. A little bit of a blitz coming from Edmonton, and he gets outside of it, drops the ball in there, but Tyrell Ford makes his first big play as an Edmonton Elk. Good timing on the hit, and knocks the ball out of Eberhardt's hands.
Tyrell Ford, all-star with Winnipeg last year. He had 7 interceptions as well in his 2nd season with the Bombers, moving on to join his brother Trey. And it's Katoy, his 2nd catch of this game across midfield, and just shy of a first down. It'll be a 3rd and short coming up here. Another decision for Buck Pierce coming up.
I think Nathan Rourke wanted to go for it on 3rd and 2, and Buck Pierce is letting his quarterback call this one. It looks like they're going short yardage.
Yeah, they are. Chase Bryce coming on. At first, it looked like the punting unit was being sent on.
It was.
Yeah.
They sent the punters out, or the punting unit out there first, and then Buck Pierce looked at Nathan. Nathan kind of put his hands in the air, and head coach changed his mind.
Well, last time, short yardage at the goal line. Edmonton's defense stood strong. How about this time in a 3rd and 2? They're in. They get him.
No shot.
He has no chance of a first down there. So this time, second straight turnover on downs suffered by BC. And this time, field position is much, much better for the Edmonton Elks. They'll take over near midfield. 3rd and 2. J.C. Sherritt fired up in that Edmonton defense. Bryce. No, he doesn't.
Last year, just in front, you're going to see Nick Anderson make this play in short yardage. Number 48 gets hit right at the line of scrimmage. Look, it keeps his legs driving, and he gets to chase Bryce. Now you go back to the goal line one more time, and this defense in short yardage, 2-0 against the BC Lions so far in this game. Nick Anderson over the top.
Anderson, the Rookie of the Year in the CFL a year ago. What a year it was. Led the league in total tackles. Tied for the lead with his teammate Niles Morgan in defensive tackles. But for Trey Ford, 1 first down so far.
Offside, Edmonton number 81. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Zach Mathis, receiver, called on that. But I was going to say, slow start for the offense. Penalized a couple of times and only that 1 first down.
Well, until that short yardage play at midfield, they were in tough field position, too, down inside their own 10.
Yeah, the first big stop save being scored on. This one flips the field. Up to their 47 now, 1st and 15. It's caught back at the original line of scrimmage. The first completion for Trey Ford. That goes to Mathis, who was flagged before, but it'll set up a 2nd and around 10 to go. A 2nd and long here, maybe 9.
100th game for former Calgary Stampeder Micah Awe. 69 defensive tackles. He's calling the defensive plays right there in the middle of the BC defense.
Second and long, Edmonton. 3rd possession. Up near midfield in a scoreless tie. Running around again. He's been facing heat. He escapes. Taken off again. A flag is down. Big run by Ford. Will it count? Up, down, I should say, to the BC 25 before he goes out of bounds. Looks like it's coming back.
Well, we'll see what the penalty is in just
Offside.
a second.
Edmonton number 81.
Well, that's
5-yard penalty.
back-to-back.
Repeat 2nd down.
Offsides. I just want to show you, it looked like Micah Alway was going to spy on Trey Ford here. There's Alway in the middle of your screen, and it looks like at the beginning of this play, he's going to spy Ford, but he has to get out of that because Javon Leake comes out of the backfield. So he covers him, and that allows a run lane outside for Trey Ford. Now, it's all coming back because of the offside. Back-to-back offsides, I believe, for Zach Mathis.
And so it pushes them back to their 48 now in a 2nd and 14. Fast quarter. We're under 4 minutes to go until quarter time. Still no points on the board. Ford stepping up. Gets rid of it. Deep right. And it is caught by Mathis. No, incomplete, excuse me. Went up for it, and lots of coverage by the Lions. So a 3rd down coming up as this drive stalls again for Edmonton.
Well, interesting that Trey Ford went right to the guy who got the offside call and gave him a chance on the jump ball. That's Zach Mathis gets up there, gets it, hits him in both hands. He just doesn't come down with it.
Cody Grace back to punt it again, standing inside the 35 for Jermaine Jackson. Sends him to the right. Takes a hop. Rolls into the end zone, and we may indeed have a first point of this game, and a punt single for Cody Grace as Jackson takes a knee. When we come back, Farhan Lalji will have more on the defensive coordinators who have a long history from BC Place. It's the CFL on TSN. Edmonton's new defensive coordinator is J.C. Sherritt, who has quite a history with the organization from 2011 to 2018. 8 seasons and one of the greatest in Edmonton football history, who has quite a connection to BC's defensive coordinator. With that story, let's go down and say hello to Farhan Lalji.
Thanks, Rod. The year was 2017, and in the first game of the season, in the first quarter, J.C. Sherritt's season came to an end because of a ruptured Achilles. He was devastated, and the main reason he was able to get through it was the support of his defensive coordinator, Mike Benavides. Benavides knew that Sherritt eventually wanted to become a coach, so he said, take advantage of this opportunity, and he basically treated the rest of the season like a coaching internship. A couple of times a week, he had the linebackers over to his apartment. They watched video. Sherritt told me it really taught him how to properly prepare from a coach's standpoint, show what was important. At the end of that season, he came back for 2018. He wanted to make sure he went out on his own terms, and after that, he retired. Benavides recommended him to Calgary, and he'll always remember just how much Benavides loved his players. That was his biggest takeaway. You always knew Benny had his back.
And Farhan, I loved hearing the stories of great connections from the past in this fraternity, coaching and playing fraternity. It was Cordell Jackson coming in for Sherritt's defense to make a play there, but
well, for the BC Lions, Mike Benavides is the new play caller on defense and coordinator. Ryan Phillips was last year. He moves up to the booth and will communicate. They're working well together and did through training camp. But yeah, J.C. Sherritt, you know, we always talk about instincts and a nose for the football. That guy had it.
He sure did. That one is caught. First down. Javon Catoy again up to midfield.
Well, it's too early to say it, but I'm gonna hint that the timing and the accuracy from Nathan Rourke looks back to that 22 season. Now it's real early, and he's got to keep playing well. But you know what he did well in 22 when the Lions started 8-1 before he was injured, and he was on pace for over 6,000 yards that year. His timing, his recognition, his release, and his accuracy.
Movement on the line, and the flag comes out. James Butler breaking through inside the 40 down to about the 37 for BC, and that's a big gain if this flag is against the Elks.
Offside, Edmonton number 94. That penalty is declined.
James Butler just seems right standing beside Nathan Rourke, and watch this second effort. Nothing at the point of attack. That was clogged up. He just was patient. A couple jump cuts in there, and away he went. Get some of that lost field position back on that short yardage play.
Butler ran for over 1,000 in 2022 with the Lions. He went to the Ticats, ran for over 1,000 again, and then got hurt and lost his job with the Ticats last year. Takes a hit. Tyrell Ford, he gets it down to about the 35 on that first down play.
Different throwing angle for Rourke on this one because the pressure was coming off the edge right into this play. There's Cordell Jackson. Has to throw it around the defensive linebacker and then out to Javon Catoy. Gets a couple.
Second and 7. Rourke is 8 for 9 for 83 yards. They still don't have any points to show for it. In scoring position again and moving. Completing again. And down to Butler. Takes that down close to a first down. Remember this. 3 years ago in 2022, the season opener between these teams, Nathan Rourke had himself a day.
Oh, did he ever. I mean, 3 touchdown passes. And I remember Chris Jones, head coach of Edmonton at the time, saying after this game, and he was a defensive expert, and Jones said after this game, I threw everything I knew on defense at him, everything in our playbook at him, and nothing worked.
And that wasn't the only defense having that kind of problem in the first half of that season before Rourke got hurt. First year in 2021, Michael Riley was the number 1 QB. Down to the 28. And again, on that time, grinding out a couple of yards. Tackled there by Niles Morgan. And as mentioned, a quick quarter. It is over already. Only 1 point to show. Despite BC's ability to move the football, they still don't have any points. But trying to change that soon. Big showdown in week 1 for the Elks and the Lions through the first 15. Through 1 quarter at BC Place, the quarterback showdown statistically is a little one-sided, but it's Edmonton suits with the lead, mainly because their defense had some big stops.
Yeah, 2 big stops in short yardage, one down in the goal line, took points off the board, and the other flopped the field. But Nathan Rourke for the BC Lions looked sharp. completing 90% of his passes in that first quarter and on pace for almost 400 yards. On the other side, Trey Ford, the strength of this Edmonton offense last year with Trey Ford in there was when they were running the ball well on first down especially. And I think Mark Killam can go back to that. Jordan Maximic can go back to, running that ball, the ride and decide kind of play where Trey Ford rides Justin Rankin and then either pulls it and takes it around the edge or gives it between the tackles.
Ford has a carry for 15 yards, but that's pretty much it for Edmonton's offense heading into quarter 2. Meanwhile, BC moving down the field again. They've got a 2nd and 8 coming up to start the second quarter. Down just outside the 25 of Edmonton, throwing again, caught again, nice little cut. And then moving it inside the 15. That's Keon Hatcher with another catch for him.
Keon Hatcher. He's going to run, just sit down in the curl. Takes a hit from, I believe it was Nick Anderson, who was all over the field in this first quarter and was key on those 2 short yardage plays too. Receivers for the Lions go back into the middle. They're going to see 48.
Hatcher and Berryhill in motion. Hatcher cuts back, rolling right. And Rourke, no. And that was it was Corey Woodruff, the left guard, who ended up hitting there, incomplete.
All-Canadian season back in 2024. 111 defensive tackles, 3 quarterback sacks, an interception, but just everywhere. I mean, 48 shows up wherever the ball is. Heart and soul of this defense, and it's back alongside Niles Morgan.
What a combo that is in that linebacking core. 2nd year out of Tulane, Nick Anderson, most outstanding rookie in the CFL in 2024. Here we go, 2nd and 10 at the Edmonton 15. Nathan Rourke of the BC Lions. End zone, no! The drop for Katoy, what looked like a BC touchdown.
Can't throw it any better. That was perfectly leading Katoy. I'm not sure if maybe the upright, could the upright have distracted him there? He just fought the football. I mean, you can't throw it any better. It was,
well, with Snoop Dogg performing before, well, he did drop it like it's hot, didn't he?
Well, no, you know what we did? We checked the air quality, and it's fine. After Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. That was in question for a while, too, wasn't it? So instead, a field goal try coming up here. Sean White approaching his 40th birthday, and he was a runner-up for the most outstanding special teams player in the CFL last year. 3 more points for White. And the first of the season, BC has the lead in a beautiful night in Vancouver. Mark Killam knows all levels of Alberta football. When it comes to the CFL, until this year, it's all been with Calgary. 20 years, starting in 05 and 06 as their strength and conditioning coach. And we asked him who his greatest influence was.
Probably the single biggest impact on my professional career is John Hufnagel, for sure. I mean, I've been super fortunate, when you're in one place for a long time. There was a lot of people, really good people that went through that organization. But, Huff, really taught me about winning football and, what a winning program looks and acts like on a day-to-day basis.
Mark Killam, but no stranger to Edmonton football. Played for the Alberta Golden Bears. He was a linebacker. Played for the legend Tom Wilkinson back in the late 90s. His team has the ball, and that's Javon Leakin. He had some time at running back, a lot of it last year. Special teams.
We talked about his background in special teams, and when you're the special teams coach, you talk to the entire team every day, and that's the only coach that really does that. Offense goes off in their room, defense goes in their room, but the special teams guy is talking to the whole team. So when we asked him about his comfort level in this new role here in Edmonton, he was, oh yeah, feels right. Absolutely feels right.
He's been waiting a long time for a chance. He's been applied 6 times before getting this one with the Elks. And once again, Ford has to escape the pocket. On the move, gets rid of it, wide open. offensively by far for the Elks, deep into the Lions' territory.
Mark Killam also told us he's going to have to, early in the season, lean into his defense and hope his defense can really control things while Trey Ford settles in as the new starter in Edmonton. And that's first quarter. We saw exactly that. A couple of short yardage plays by the defense. The offense wasn't finding any traction. And all of a sudden, Trey Ford gets back to what he does well. Get outside, make people miss, break containment, and then it's a scramble drill.
A 50-yard gain, Ford. Scrambling, throwing, Arkell Smith. Now a little toss inside to Curly Gittens Jr. His first touch of 2025, and it gets strung out nicely by BC to perhaps about a yard. We got an injury update. Let's go back to Farhan.
Yeah, guys, Kamoko Toure, BC's rookie defensive end, is being evaluated for a concussion right now, and that could be a challenge because BC's only dressed 2 defensive ends for this game, with Sione Tuhema suspended for 2 games. So as the game progresses, if he doesn't come back, those edge players are going to be tired, and that's going to allow Trey Ford to do what he did 2 plays ago.
Good point, Farhan. And Mike Benavides, talking to him before the game, was singing Toure's praises, drafted by Indianapolis in the NFL back in 2018 in his first taste of CFL action. So as Farhan tells us, he is out. And Thibaut Debaye now in his place. On a 2nd and 9, Ford. And no, that's it.
Time count violation.
Time count.
Edmonton number 2. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Well, and what it does, to Farhan's point, is that, yeah, without the rotation, the defensive ends become more fatigued as the game goes on, especially trying to track down number 2. But what it will also force Mike Benavides to possibly do is get the linebackers involved in secondary contain. That'll mean they have to
reset the game clock to 11:23.
That'll mean that the linebackers and maybe even some players from the secondary are going to have to come closer to the line of scrimmage to help with contain on Trey Ford, and that opens up zones behind him.
Well, the Elks have been penalized 4 times now. Penalties like that. BC has not been penalized yet. Pushes them back to a 2nd and 14 at the Lions 22. 3-1 BC. Edmonton threatening, but a big 2nd down play coming up here for Ford and the Elks. Movement at the line. Looks like the Lions this time. Flags come out. Free play. Ford throwing, and no, it's off the hands of Zach Mathis, incomplete. But it looks like this one will be going against BC.
Zach Mathis is struggling in this first half.
BC number 46. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Offside that took a 2nd and long conversion off the board. That ball was thrown right at him, went straight between his hands. He's fighting it a little bit in game 1 in the first half.
Taking a couple of penalties too. You're right. It's back to being a 2nd and 9 now at the BC 17. Ford to pass again. Running around. He's got to run away again. And Ford is inside the 10, and he takes a hit as he goes down. It's Micah Alway, middle linebacker, and getting a shot at Ford as he got down to around the 5. But we once again see how good the legs of Trey Ford can be for that Edmonton offense.
Well, absolutely. And watch how difficult it is for Matthew Betts, one of the quickest rush ends in the league, as he tries to track him down. He just can't keep up with the speed of Trey Ford. Now, this is the balancing act I talked about. He had the first down by about 3 yards, and he's got to learn throughout this season to hook slide and not take that hit.
It's a 1st and goal from the BC 5. Edmonton pressing for the end zone, handing off. Javon Leake. It's down to about the 2. Mentioning Leake, Mark Killam assured us he'll be involved in the return game a lot more often. Last year, to preserve him for the offense because of the injuries they had at running back, he ended up not doing many returns. He was more in this role.
Whenever I see Javon Leake, I think of that special graphic we had last year where it had his miles per hour running down on one of his touchdowns. It was in Edmonton. I think he got up to about 25 miles an hour, one of the fastest guys in football. So that's what he's capable of. He gets the ball in his hands in space. Watch out. That return background shows up quickly.
8th play of the drive from the BC 3. It's a 2nd and goal, Edmonton. Ford handing off again. Rankin. Touchdown. Looked like Rankin broke the plane. And now
it looked like one of the officials was ready to put their hands up, but I'm not sure if he crossed the plane. We're going to have to take another look here. And
that is a close call as well, just like the one before with Bryce. So the ruling is he is down. So no touchdown. So a 3rd and goal down in the same end zone. BC was in this situation on offense and couldn't punch it in. Can Edmonton? Cody Fajardo's in at quarterback. Short yardage, Fajardo pushing through. Flags coming out. And he is not being signaled in either, pending the flag here. Will Edmonton get another chance? The result of this penalty. Cody Fajardo, of course, the Grey Cup MVP 2 years ago with Montreal. Left the Alouettes, signing with the Elks this year.
BC defensive line. Will be first down on the 1-yard line.
yeah, this is, I've said this before in past years, but this is the one place on the field where that should never happen. Where a defensive lineman puts his hand down because there's a big white stripe there. You can't put your hands down beyond that white stripe.
So it gives the Elks 3 more chances if they need them. Fajardo in again.
Power eye back there.
And the backfield clears. Fajardo left side pushing. And another flag comes out. It is a touchdown this time, but we'll wait again to see if it will count.
Offside. BC defensive line. That penalty has declined. Results of the play is a touchdown.
Now we have a touchdown for one of the newcomers to Edmonton, quarterback Cody Fajardo, in for short yardage as the Elks take the lead again.
Yeah, this was a big offseason acquisition for Edmonton to bring the veteran Grey Cup champion Cody Fajardo to this football team to help in the development of Trey Ford. And if they need to go to Fajardo, well, they know what he's capable of. 2023, almost 4,000 yards passing for Cody Fajardo, and led Montreal to a championship.
And threw for over 3,000 last year and missed some time with injury. 16 touchdowns and 7 picked off, but that's a 10-play drive. The point after, the new kicker, Vincent Blanchard out of Laval, and he is wide left, so it stays at 7-3 because of the single they had earlier in the game. 10-play drive, 75 yards, 50 of it coming on one play alone. And Mark Killam fired up, just like the Calgary days.
First quarter, Edmonton leans on their defense. Couple of big stops to allow their offense with Trey Ford at the helm to settle in. Second quarter begins, and Ford puts together a big drive. 10 plays, 75 yards, almost 5 minutes, and he goes to what he does best. Get outside, scramble, break, contain, and then hit a receiver downfield, a 50-yarder down the field to Arkell Smith.
The strength of Trey Ford, the running, and not just those running plays, but running to buy himself some time to throw like he did on that big play. So kicking off, Blanchard for Edmonton, and on this return, Jermaine Jackson breaks a few tackles. DK Bonhomme hauls him down just across the BC 40. Farhan is going to have more on Nathan Rourke and how this year is different than last. Brand new season and a fresh outlook for Nathan Rourke. Let's go back to Farhan.
Thanks, Rod. I asked Nathan, what's different about you now than maybe a year ago? And he said, honestly, I care less. Not that he cares less about football, but he cares less about what others think, what maybe trying to be somebody that he's not necessarily. And I think at times he felt like he was doing that a year ago. Now he's a little more focused, and he believes that he's going to give his teammates a truer version of himself. He said, even when I was in the NFL, it always felt like the next pass could be my last pass. The next practice could be my last practice. Now there's a bit of a calm about him. He really has kind of found what's important, who he is, and he thinks he can give the best to his teammates this way.
Well, the other thing when we talked to him was that and talked to his teammates and his coach was the work. He's put the work in, and that gives you confidence all by itself. And I don't think there's a player out there that puts more time in, throws the ball, trains more than Nathan Rourke.
Short gain by Butler in the first down, second and long now. Pressure, gets rid of it, just throwing it away, and it falls incomplete. They got the heat on him really for the first time. Coming in, Brandon Barlow, part of that completely revamped Edmonton defensive front. And so the Lions will have to punt it away with the Elks leading it here in the second quarter, 7-3.
Those hands out front, and Barlow's trying to rip underneath right tackle Dejon Allen. And that pocket just collapsed on him.
There to punt it away. New punter, Carl Meyer for BC. And it's Lake, as promised, on the return game as well after a punt of 52 by Carl Meyer. No Canadian quarterbacks. Nathan Rourke and Trey Ford, and the man in the middle, Russ Jackson, a legend with the Ottawa Rough Riders, three-time most outstanding player, three-time Grey Cup champion. You look what Nathan Rourke did in 2022. Absolutely on a record pace before he got hurt, and suits Trey Ford. We've talked about it, how he can really make that offense work that much better when he uses his legs.
Running through, was that the Cascade Mountains?
Yeah, with the Elks in the background.
Yeah, no. Different style quarterbacks, very cool story. And I mention U Sports because, hats off to U Sport coaches and programs that are getting players. Not that every player goes to play college football because they want to play pro. But the U Sports coaching staffs that are getting these players more pro ready every single year. And it just, now it's reached the most important position on the field, the quarterback position. So it is a cool story. There's a chance that we could overdo it, so we'll step back, but let the players do the talking by their actions.
Well, the novelty of the Canadian quarterback playing is that's done. We've seen Ford and Rourke a lot of times, but going head to head, it's the first time since 1968
in week one.
Start of season. So it was Rankin that had that carry. He picked up 3 yards. Lions are doing well against the run so far, except when it's Ford. When he's under pressure, he gets rid of this one. It's caught by Rankin, and a good tackle in space. Number 9, Deontay Williams, the ex-Saskatchewan Rough Rider, to prevent a first down. So a third down coming up here for Edmonton.
Well, Deontay Williams is going to drop to his zone way outside from that cover linebacker spot. He's got curl to flat, and watch the tackle, because that's a pretty good move by Rankin. It really broke down Williams, but he regrouped, got him down before the marker.
So Cody Grace will punt again. That returner, new to the Lions, Jermaine Jackson, in his first year out of Idaho. And Grace has mentioned, global player who'd been with Calgary up until this season, made the move north. Standing at his 20. One of many Aussie punters in the Canadian Football League.
Rankin.
Jackson. Good coverage there by the Elks. Net of Amaga, Clements, Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey star in the Emmy Award-winning HBO original series, critics calling stunning and masterfully tense, The Last of Us. Stream all episodes now, only on Crave.
And no spoiler alerts,
please,
because I am right into The Last of Us. And by the way, filmed in Alberta, filmed in BC.
Yeah, a lot of, I was going to say Crave, proudly Canadian, and a lot of Canadian components to it.
Absolutely. You'll recognize it when you watch it. Some landmarks, Canadian landmarks.
Nathan Rourke starting another drive from the BC 23. Handing off to James Butler. Tries to work his way through, but the Elks, by committee, are limiting him. There's Jared Brinkman, 91 in there. And you see Manny Rugamba, 33, back at BC Place. This time against the Lions. But there's Manny, and he had a pretty good run here in 3 seasons with the Lions before moving on.
Well, he can play. He's versatile, so he can play in the secondary at halfback, which he is for Edmonton, but he can also play that cover linebacker spot, which he did for BC a couple of years.
It's their top rookie in 2022 and a Western All-Star the next year. BC 24 now. Pressure on Rourke again. He steps up. He's going to take off. And he takes a hit. Gets it up around the 34 on that 2nd and 9, and very close to a BC first down. It is indeed. So Rourke running like we saw with Ford earlier and picks up the first.
Good coverage by the Edmonton Elks secondary, and then that pocket starts to collapse, so Rourke hits it up the middle, and he's going to pay the price here for that first down. Cordell Jackson. A couple big hits there. Robbie Smith from behind, too.
Another ex-Argo, Robbie Smith, had him wrapped up there, so getting late. 3-minute warning coming up. Inside 3 minutes now. That one intended for Katoy, a bit behind Rugamba. His ex-teammate is there to stop them. Beautiful night in Vancouver. The Elks lead it late in the first half.
Coming up at the half, we're going to update you on all the Week 1 highlights. Plus, if you've been watching all the games, you know that we've been on the road a little bit. But this great Canadian QB matchup keeping us wide awake. And also all the Rod Smith Snoop Dogg references. Legendary Smitty.
Good job, Smitty.
Hey, Kate.
Nice.
Really, if you listen closely, it's all I got. But I've been trying to make the most of it.
Hey, I tried to catch you off guard with that game in Saskatchewan, and you were on top of it.
Snoop Dogg performing earlier before this game, and actually good reaction from the crowd. It got pretty loud in here.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, he's got a bit of an arm, too. I mean, at the end of the concert, he was signing footballs and throwing them to the crowd, and he didn't want to just put that one on the next level. He goes up to the top level. Now, I had to get his glasses off and his jewelry and some of that. He got regrouped.
He was having a good... He was having a good time.
Oh, yeah. He had some fun. And so did the crowd. They were dancing.
The owner of the Lions, Amar Doman, who's done this now several years in a row. 3 years at least. At 50 Cent last year, LL Cool J before. But starting the season off and getting a bigger crowd in here at BC Place to get things going. His Lions trailing by 4. It's a 3rd and 3, and they're punting it away late in the first half. The punt by Carl Meyer. Goes to Javon Leake up at the 35 for Edmonton.
It's going to be a journey for Trey Ford, as it is for every young quarterback. But when you look at, over the last few years and you see his record. Now, he's played an entire football season when you add them all up. And 9 wins, a 500 record. The rest of the quarterbacks that have played for Edmonton don't have 9 wins. I mean, he waited on the sideline when the team was 0-7 before he got his opportunity. So that changed this offseason with Ed Hervey as the new GM, Mark Killam as the new coach. They stepped in, they restructured his contract. They said, here's the keys, now let's let you develop.
See if it makes a difference after a few years now. Rough starts for the Edmonton Elks. And on the ground on that play is Rankin, who gets it up well across the 45. 1:52 in the clock and a first down for Edmonton.
But they've got to just start to believe. I've said about Edmonton over the last couple of seasons that they have great players, but have not been a great team. And can Mark Killam bring this team together so that they don't get off to those kind of starts where they're chasing for the entire season? They just got to start believing, because they've had the talent, and they certainly do now.
And taking that high snap directly and running with it is Rankin, is Ford taking that snap. Some confusion on that play as he picks up another couple of yards up across.
Yeah, that was just a high, hard snap that Trey Ford was just lucky to reel in, because that one was going over his head. He just barely tipped it to himself, got what he could.
would have gone to Rankin had he not been able to haul that one in. So they basically lose it down. It's a 2nd and 10 now. 1:10 on the clock. Ford complete first down inside the BC 50. Stephen Dunbar back in Edmonton. Started in Hamilton, went to Edmonton, back to Hamilton, and now an Elk once more.
Look at what the Lions are doing with their D-line. 4 D linemen, but they're leaving the middle open and really widening to not allow Ford to escape easily. That should open up some inside run game.
Trey Ford 5 for 9, 75 yards, throwing again, and caught by Dunbar again. It was quickly thrown backwards back across the 50, so picks up another couple. 49 seconds on the clock. That was Jalen Edwards-Cooper coming in on Dunbar.
You know, proof of that inside run game was the start of this drive and that run by Justin Rankin.
5 straight completions for Trey Ford now. The Elks have the lead, looking for more before halftime. Scrambling out again, and he dumps it off just inside the 45. That's Rankin with it. Nearly enough for a first down.
Is it enough for a field goal attempt?
Was watching Vincent Blanchard. Got in one game right at the end of the season for Edmonton, so technically his 2nd season, but really a rookie kicker. A star in Laval went 5 for 5 in the Vanier Cup back in 2022.
BC.
And Blanchard, watching him in warm-up, was comfortably hitting across midfield at 56.
Now he's got to get rid of the mental demon of missing an extra point.
Had that miss
earlier.
Yeah, wide left earlier in the quarter. Cost him a point, still a 4-point lead. Chance to go ahead by a touchdown. If Blanchard can come in and get this done. Of course, there's been some good Laval kickers in the CFL. Boris Beatty was with Edmonton last year. David Cote, now retired from the Alouettes. Christopher Milo. Mark Killam, yes, a longtime special teams coordinator with Calgary. Even as a head coach now, you know this aspect of the game is near and dear.
Well, if you miss, there's more pressure if you miss from this distance because, remember, missed field goals are returned. Okay.
Vincent Blanchard just inside the 50 and wide and left again. Jackson wants to bring it up. Here we go. Across the 5, and he is tackled there. So for Blanchard, misses that chance there. Mark Killam not only has one Ford to coach, he has a couple, and that was nicely pointed out by the Edmonton Elks organization in this video.
A little encouraging words from the head coach.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Trey.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Trey.
That's great. Well, you mentioned it. Tyrell Ford out there at corner. 7 interceptions last year. Got a chance to play with his brother and lives with him in Edmonton.
Heading off at the first down. Has a hole. Finds some room there. James Butler up to the 25 and across. And a first down very late, though. Just 13 seconds until halftime. And they line up. Use that time wisely, whatever they can do. See if they can have a big play to get them within Sean White's field goal range.
Yeah, probably need 2 or at least go way down the field.
But the clock keeps ticking, and this will be it. Last play. It's caught. No, it's not. So intended for Berryhill, and no, it goes incomplete, and that is the end of the first half. BC's offense looked very sharp early on, but just couldn't cash in thanks to a great goal line stand. Another big stop later in the quarter by the Edmonton defense. And here we are after that last drive by the Elks with that 7-3 lead in this low-scoring game.
Well, one note for the BC Lions, Justin McInnes, the leading receiver from a year ago, 1 target in this first half.
How about that Edmonton defense? One big part of it. Nick Anderson standing by with Farhan.
Nick, let's start with the first 2 defensive possessions when you make the stops on 3rd down. How important was that to get you guys settled?
It's very important, especially trying to get the offense established. It's week 1, so the defense know we got to get stops, got to get Trey comfortable, and I'm proud of what we did the first half.
First couple of drives for BC, they moved the ball effectively. Nathan Rourke looked comfortable. It looked like you started bringing a lot more pressure after that. Was that the big change?
Just overall, get off the field. Get off the field. We always say on defense, hold them to no points, field goals, or turnovers. That's what we did.
Thanks for this, Nick.
Thank you.
Little to show for it. Now here's Kate and the panel.
And that panel would be Enoch Mwamba, Davis Sanchez, and Paul Lapalese. A low-scoring affair in this big Canadian matchup. And it's funny, we always have these conversations before games, during games. Enoch, you have been pumping Nick Anderson's tires for as long as I can remember. And we even see him in this game. I mean, the 5 tackles or something, but just the skill set and how incredible he is. I know that he's a little undersized, but he certainly makes up for that on the field.
As a linebacker, you have to love the way that he plays the game. He comes in with violence and bad intentions every single time he touches the field. You see him tonight. He's already got 5 tackles, on pace for 10 if he keeps going this way right now. But he's playing tremendously right now. He has high energy, and he's energizing the whole defense as a whole. You can see he is the captain. He stops well on the dime. He's great in the passing, but he's great attacking the ball as well. And if anybody knows anything about making tackles like this, we won't talk about it enough, but he has some great guys in front of him. The reason why he's able to make these type of plays, he has, well, the former defensive line that was in Toronto. You got Brinkman, Serezno, big money Robbie Smith, as well as Barlow in front of him. That's one of the big reasons why J.C. Sherritt and Mark Killam are happy with this defense.
He's an absolute monster, and he said that they want to get the ball back to Trey Ford in this offense, and he didn't want to give Farhan too much there, did he? What are you guys doing? We just want to get the ball back to Trey. But look, Trey Ford, and we're going to talk about him all year long, but I want something specific about Trey is, what do you do as a defense? If you blitz him, we're seeing it in the first half, guys are blitzing, and they're trying to attack the upfield shoulder. If you attack the upfield shoulder with Trey, he's gonna get up the middle, and there'll be a huge gap there. So now the guys are trying to get inside a little bit more, and then he's beating them around the edge. So it's a really difficult situation. I know this about how they want to play. And I don't know what's going to happen, but you see crucial second downs. The first one there, he ran for it. This one, again, second down, he beat the pressure, bought time to throw the ball. This time here again. Matthew Betts, not the fastest or most wiggly guy, but straight line, he's pretty quick. Trey Ford again gets around the edge. So it's really difficult when you rush Trey, because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you come off the edge too much inside, he's going to beat you outside. If you come up too outside, there's a big gap in the middle, and Trey will get up in there. So it's just teams have got to figure out a way. It's usually going to be probably from a spy to get this guy, contain him, and find a way to stop, because defenses are really going to struggle trying to hold him if they can't get him down the ground.
By the way, too, we always thought, okay, when he becomes the starter, I mean, maybe, we're going to see him slide a lot more, maybe be a little more caught. Nope, that hasn't happened yet. By the way, that whole first half, I mean, we'll see, because that is going to be dangerous, too, long term.
What did Coach say earlier? Quarterbacks that can run and quarterbacks that can...
Runners who can throw.
Yeah.
Right? So, whatever he's doing, he's doing.
Whatever he can do, it's good. Keep
and you know what? As you said, kudos to Edmonton's defense in this one, but that opening drive, when we watched Nathan Rourke, we're like, okay, he was settled in. He had some really good stuff in there. Didn't end the way they wanted to. But overall, a little surprising. He hasn't gone to Justin McInnes a lot more in this game, too. But you see the good things. There just needs to be more consistency.
Yeah, I thought that was a great point by Suits. Only, hasn't been targeted enough in this game. But really, you can tell what's going on with this football team and how they are changing. There's 7 rushes for James Butler, 59 yards. They're trying to establish the run. But when you do that, you also get these opportunities. You see Nathan Rourke. He's got 11 of 17 passing, but there's a lot of boots, play actions, and movement throws for him to be able to show some of these play action looks and get these quick throws that are easy for him to get downfield. Like you said, Kate, they didn't finish in the end zone like they needed to. But James Catoy, 4 catches, 45 yards. Keon Hatcher, 3 for 35 yards. It's very interesting to see that it's not those downfield shots, but they need more first downs, and they need to capitalize. There was a drop in the end zone. Yeah. This could be a very different game for the BC Lions if they execute at the 1-yard line and they catch the ball in the end zone.
By the way, we were saying this in Montreal last night. The crowd was so incredible. Looking out in the crowd at BC, and they had 50,000 plus for the 2nd straight year. I mean, this is so great to see across the CFL. I've heard ticket sales for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers home opener is amazing. And if you missed any of the action from week number 1, we got highlights coming up right after this. Week 2 kicks off with Winnipeg's home opener, or a short week for the BC Lions. You can see that one 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. I mentioned attendance, how great the fans have been so far this season. Over 30,000 tickets sold already for the Blue Bombers. All right, let's recap. Week number 1 in the CFL. Red Blacks take on the Rough Riders on Thursday. Second quarter action all tied at 7. Trevor Harris over the middle. Sam Emulus
got him
for the lead. He finished up with a game-high 133 receiving yards. I think he's going to have a fantastic season.
Yeah, he doesn't even need cleats. Look at that.
Doesn't need cleats. Why bother? Riders win at 31-26, your final. Let's go over to the Argonauts taking on the Alouettes. Friday night football. Davis Alexander, first game as Montreal's full-time starter. Late in the first, Owls up by 1. He's going to launch the deep shot.
Phil Pot.
The panel was right in front of that, by the way. Spectacular grab. Alexander 19 for 26, 205 yards through the air as the Owls win it. Tiger Cats, Stampeders, you saw it earlier today on TSN. End of the third, 28-11 Stamps. Vernon Adams Jr. sheds a man, finds a streak, and Clark Barnes a 65-yard strike. Adams, 19 of 28, 284 yards in his Calgary debut. It's going to set up a 1st and goal for Dedrick Mills, who had himself a day. Puts home one of his 3 rushing TDs. Stamps win it 38-26, your final. That was a high-scoring affair. This one not so much early on. Currently 7-3 for Edmonton. We'll get you back to BC for second half action right after this.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Build a fire inside you, become a monster. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Build a fire inside you, then you will conquer.
Halftime at BC Place. So look at the numbers so far.
Yeah, not on that board is the Edmonton defense with their 2 stops in short yardage. One right down on the goal line. Took 7 points off the board.
James Butler, the Lions, 7 carries, 59 yards. Here he is with Farhan.
James, let's start with the first 2 drives. How demoralizing was it to get stopped on 3rd down and come away with no points?
That's always hard, you know what I'm saying? We're always trying to count by 7s, not 3s, but at least 3. So we know we just got to finish the drives in the end zone for sure.
What about yourself? You seem to get things going as that half progressed, 59 yards rushing. Can we expect to see more of you, especially with the amount Edmonton's blitzing?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Thanks for this.
Thank you.
Really the story for Buck Pierce?
Well,
a stop and a drop.
Yeah, stop and a drop. Hey, let's not start rapping now that we're good. Snoop Dogg here. But, you know, we've got to remind folks we got 2 brand new head coaches. First time in that role. You know, I think there'll be some that maybe second guess that short yardage play in the middle of the field for Buck Pierce. And Mark Killam relied on his defense to get a couple of good stops while Trey Ford was settling in. And he looked, and that offense in Edmonton looked better in the second quarter.
So BC will get the ball to start the second half. Vincent Blanchard to kick it off for Edmonton, and another returner back there for the Lions, newcomer Robert Carter, along with Jermaine Jackson, who's done the return so far. Carter is also the boundary corner in his first CFL start here for BC. 4-point difference. Edmonton with the 7-3 lead. The second half of their opening game is underway here in Vancouver. Comes Comes down for Jackson at the 20. And he breaks left. He cuts back. Got something going here. But a good tackle in the open field there by Kobe Williams, the ex-Calgary Stampeder, starting in the secondary. And good job on special teams there for the Elks.
Take a look at Nathan Rourke's first half, and his numbers are 11 of 17, 108 yards, no touchdowns and no interceptions. Early on, he had success getting outside and getting on the roll, finding his receivers sitting down in the zones. But as that second quarter started, Edmonton made a couple of adjustments.
Little toss inside there. Misdirection for the BC Lions offense on that first play to the slot back Jermaine Jackson.
A good quick returner and give him a little bit of a fly sweep look underneath. Sometimes a play is to set up other plays, and that could plant a seed to get Edmonton a little more contained conscious.
Second and 5 goes down as another pass completed by Nathan Rourke, by the way. And it's Justin McInnes, the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League last year. At one game last year against Saskatchewan, McInnes went off. He had 243 yards receiving and a couple of touchdowns. But what a season, a breakout year for Justin McInnes.
Well, he led the league. And, you know, when you take a look at the 1469, Justin McInnes also added 7 touchdowns. His longest on the season was a 44-yarder. Said it has given him great confidence in this offseason that he can go out and repeat that.
They get a first down. Start the second half. Faking the handoff, dumping it off to Stanley Berryhill. No, Kobe Williams. We just saw a good tackle on special teams. There's a good one on defense for the ex-Stampeder.
Well, we've seen a bunch of that in this game already. The great tackling, Nick Anderson leading the way, but Cordell Jackson, that, by the way, that adjustment I was talking about when Nathan Rourke in the first quarter in that first drive got on the outside and started rolling out to look at his receivers and have them sit down. The adjustment Edmonton made was Cordell Jackson in secondary contain, not allowing Nathan Rourke outside.
So they pick up 1. That's it. Second down and 9. Rourke with time. Pump fake. Checks it down. Gets it to Butler. Midfield. And good running. Hard running by Butler at a good first half after the catch. Gets it to the 50 and does the work to get another first down. And they are in the Elks territory.
In 2022, when James Butler was the tailback for Nathan Rourke in this offense, they did this a ton. In fact, James Butler had 53 catches that year. Didn't play the whole season either due to injury.
That first down, the 50. Handing off Butler again, and this time it's tougher going. Can't get back to the line of scrimmage there. Lots of Elks in, but yeah, James Butler has had some good years back to where he started. Look at the numbers he had in 21 and 22 with BC.
You know, there's receivers in the league that would like to get to 627 receiving yards, and you know, it's kind of extended runs a lot of the time for James Butler. Now that was back when Jordan Maximic was the offensive coordinator for the BC Lions. It's now Buck Pierce, so we'll see a little more of the Winnipeg influence.
That's some good running backs to work with in Winnipeg, didn't they? That's Javon Catoy, the catch, and then big man gets some power going there up against Royce Metier, the new safety for the Elks, and another first down. Here comes BC, down 4, but on the move in this third quarter.
I guarantee you, Javon Catoy, who dropped a sheer touchdown in the first half, went to Nathan Rourke and said, "Come back to me. I'll make up for that one."
Inside the 35, faking the handoff. Rourke, deep long, touchdown! BC Lions. Berryhill, wide open in that Edmonton end zone. Rourke off the fake, and he's thrown his first touchdown pass in 2025.
It's a tough throw too, Rod, because he's rolling to his left. And he's got to get his shoulder around. This is Rourke on the roll. After the play action, he gets outside. The commitment to that play action run fake was big from the Edmonton defense. He got outside, flipped his hips around, and that shoulder, that lead shoulder in the throw, and dropped it into Berryhill.
In behind his ex-teammate Manny Rugamba, Stanley Berryhill. The first BC touchdown scored in this season at the point after try from the veteran Sean White. No problem at all. They were down when the half started. They now lead. Rourke to Berryhill, who's still celebrating. Lions with a 3-point lead. CFL on TSN from Vancouver.
Nothing fancy in the route from Berryhill here. It's just a straight go route, but Manuel Rugamba is going to drop back, and he has deep outside responsibility here, but look where his eyes are. His eyes are looking back at Nathan Rourke and not at the receiver that is now even. And what do they say, Rod? When the receiver is even, he's leaving, and he's gone. He's behind coverage.
Took it in for that BC touchdown. Stanley Berryhill, who had 2 touchdowns last year in 16 games, second year at Arizona. 10-7, BC. Big return happening here. Arkell Smith at the big catch. 50-yarder. That'll lead to Edmonton's touchdown in the first half. And Arkell Smith with a huge return to get it in deep into the Lions zone.
Well, you start to see early on in this coverage from the BC Lions how that gap is going to open up. You've got to stay about 4 or 5 yards from the guy beside you to your right and left in those cover teams, and that didn't happen for the BC Lions. Arkell Smith took advantage of that gap in the coverage and was gone. Good speed on that return, too.
Arkell Smith. Javon Leake is standing by an offense. He's the running back in there beside Ford, so normally the big play returner. That's 66 yards for Arkell Smith. And that is shotgun and handing off. And nowhere to go. It was Javon Leake. Lost a yard or 2 on that play.
So second and long, and now it's up to Mike Benavides, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, to figure out, as Ches was saying at halftime, if you widen too much, Trey Ford will escape up the middle. If you plug up the middle too much, he's going to get outside and around. We saw him break contain and get outside of Matthew Betts in that first half a couple of times on a big play. So now the juggling act. How wide do you get to try and keep him in the pocket?
Leak still in at running back. Call it 2nd and 10. Ford pressured again. They've been relentless tonight. That's new Lion up front, Dwayne Hendricks, who was with Hamilton last year. The Argos the year before won a Grey Cup there, and got to beef up that pass rush. Gets the job done on Ford with the sack.
This is just straight discipline. Discipline in your pass rush length. So instead of overthinking it, maybe getting too wide or too close to the line, to the middle of the defensive line, Mike Benavides says just take your normal splits, but be disciplined in your lanes. And that's exactly what Dwayne Hendricks, I should say, does. He gets that big push, doesn't get out of his lane, and there's no escape route.
Vincent Blanchard has missed an extra point and missed one field goal try going wide left both times. Cody Grace to put it down from 45 away, and he missed it again the same way. It's Jackson looking to take it out, does take it out, and a flag comes out as well as he's chased out of bounds deep in the Lions zone, so they don't give up the point, but they got terrible field position depending on what that flag was. So a rough night for the Edmonton kicker, and rough right there for Trey Ford as down he
goes. Well, here is your illegal block. Just follow those 2 players. It'll happen right where the returner is, right there in the middle of the back. And you question the decision with pretty good lane integrity from the Elks on that cover team to try and take it out. Now, real tough field position for their offense.
Starting deep in their zone now. Nathan Rourke standing inside it right next to the goalpost. Handing off to James Butler right side. Pretty good in those circumstances to get it up to the 10 and set up a shorter second down coming up here as they buy themselves some space.
Yeah, a few goals here now for the BC offense. One is to just get enough breathing room so if you have to punt, you can do that. The next one is to get that field position to plus territory and then finally to score if you can get that far. But the Edmonton defense might have something to say about it.
6 yards, 6 more for Butler. Over 50 in the first half. So in the second down play, Rourke with just a 3-man rush. He steps out. He takes off. He dives to get up across the 15. He has a first down, a big one for the BC Lions, who have been really pinned back in their zone. 2
real good decisions from Nathan Rourke here. The first one is to go ahead and he didn't like what he saw from the receivers. He didn't like what he saw from coverage. The pocket was starting to collapse. Just 3-man pressure, so there was lots of coverage back there. And the second good decision was that he got down after he got first down territory. Both these guys got to get that. But it's tough. You talk to quarterbacks and they say, you got to get the first down, so I'll take the hit to do that.
He got it with about a yard or 2 to spare, so here we go. Drive continues just outside the 15. Taking the handoff, throwing, completing 2 just across the 20. That's Justin McInnes. Another catch for him, his 3rd of this night.
Yeah, I would suggest Buck Pierce probably looked at some numbers and looked at some of the video on the tablets and said, wait a minute, we got to get the leading receiver in the league involved here. A couple of targets already in this second half. Even the short ones like that play, they matter. It just kind of gets you in a rhythm, gets you comfortable.
Up to the 22 now. Another 2nd and 4. Faking again, throwing. It's caught. It's right at the first down mark for Butler. Out of the backfield, and the tackle there by Royce Metier, newcomer to the Elks secondary, of course, coming over from the Argos, where he won a Grey Cup here in this field last November. But it is a Lions first down, just enough for Butler.
Yeah, this is a great acquisition in the offseason. And I mean, Royce Metier with his over 80 tackles. He has 8 career interceptions, but just outstanding free safety. Him and Tyrell Ford together, 2 Canadians in that secondary. And Metier played his college ball in Guelph. He's not afraid to get up and get his nose dirty.
Started with the Stampeders and went to the Argos. Rourke, by the way, 8 for 8 in this half, but he's under pressure. He somehow escapes it. Nathan Rourke. Oh, what an effort to get out of the pocket and get it up all the way to the BC 40, and another Lions first down.
Well, to start the second half, Rod, you and I were talking about the tackling of the Edmonton Elks and how it was so crisp, and this is just a skateboard. Looked like that was Niles Morgan on one that he missed. A couple of guys right there in the pocket. He can scramble too. Good speed outside. That one right up the middle.
His 3 carries for 30 yards and a couple of big carries here on this drive. In this third quarter, 4 first downs. Flag comes out as he lets Butler do the running that time, and not much there. Right at about the 40.
Well, goal number 1, though, for BC accomplished.
Offside. Edmonton number 91. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Nathan Rourke has done this a couple of times in this game already. It's a staggered count, just a hard count to try and get J.C. Sherritt's group to jump, get them anxious.
One thing they want to change this year, the penalties. They led the CFL in penalties, and not a good start that way. That's penalty number 6 for Edmonton in this game. They've certainly taken more than BC. It's a 1st and 5. That's knocked at the line of scrimmage coming in. Jonathan Kongbo back in the CFL after taking a year away. Had been with Winnipeg and had been more recently with Hamilton. First incompletion of the second half for Nathan Rourke, and it's a 2nd and 5.
Yeah, Dejon Allen was working against Kongbo and was holding him in the line of scrimmage. Not holding as in a penalty, but had him stopped at the line of scrimmage, so Kongbo just put his hands up.
2nd and 5 now. fast-moving game, getting later in the third quarter now. Rourke taken off again. Nathan Rourke. He's a running machine. All the way down inside the Lions' 45. Talked about the running of Trey Ford, and how about the running of Nathan Rourke this half?
Well, the linebackers for Edmonton are burying themselves in the line of scrimmage, so Rourke sees that, and he knows he's got some protection. One drops, one comes up to the line, and then is chasing a receiver outside. So with the two linebackers in Niles Morgan and Nick Anderson vacated, that's the escape lane right up the middle. He's hit it a couple of times.
Rourke making it work with the legs, too. 19 of 26 for 191 through the air. Taking that handoff, dumping it off again. That's Jermaine Jackson with it. Jackson down inside the 40. And set up a second down and short coming up here for BC.
This drive started on the 3-yard line. Couple of key runs from Nathan Rourke. And now in field goal range. Looking for more.
The last drive was 72 yards, capped off with a touchdown. And now in that scoring position again with the 3-point lead. Impressive drive starting near their goal line. Play action fake. Game long touchdown. Barry Hill. Barry Hill again. Got something going there. In behind coverage and open for 6 more for BC.
What a pickup by James Butler to step up and make the block on the outside on this blitz. Edmonton wants to send pressure on Rourke. He steps to his left, picks up that blitz. That allows Rourke to step into this throw. He drops it right on the money to Barry Hill, his second on the night.
The Lions started down just outside their 1-yard line. 10 plays, 107 yards, we'll call it. Just over 6 minutes time. Killed a lot of that third quarter. Back-to-back possessions. Into the end zone goes Stanley Berryhill. And a celebration, one of the big guys up front.
Goal number 1 on this drive for the BC Lions. Get enough room to just punt the football away. That was accomplished. Check. Couple of big key runs from Nathan Rourke on second down up the middle to keep the drive alive. Then they get in field goal range. That's the second goal. Check. Get in field goal range and then go for more. Edmonton tried to blitz him. He beat him over the top.
Carl Meyer with the kickoff. Arkell Smith, another good return. Breaking it loose up across the 50. So Arkell Smith becoming a return star for Edmonton. And if they ever need it now, they're down a couple of scores. Back-to-back long drives. Nathan Rourke and that BC offense. A couple of touchdown tosses to Stanley Berryhill. Big weekend for golf in this country, the RBC Canadian Open. And that's final round coverage coming up tomorrow, bright and early in these parts at 4:45 a.m. Pacific time. But Matteo Manassero is leading the Canadian Open after round 3, tied with Ryan Fox, both shooting 6-unders today. Canadian content, Mackenzie Hughes at 12 under after a 6-under day. And Nick Taylor won this a couple of years ago, is at 10 under par, heading into the final 18 holes. The RBC Canadian Open. Watch it on TSN bright and early. Nightfall setting in, the open roof at BC Place for this season opener, and the Lions down at the half, but have come back with a couple of touchdowns, and they have the 10-point lead late here in the third quarter. So Trey Ford and Edmonton with some work to do now. Taking that handoff and dumping it off. That's Zach Mathis. And he gets up near a first down inside Lions territory, down just inside the 50.
Yeah, no need for the Edmonton offense to panic. You don't have to push the ball and big play, try to get big plays every down. Just keep running the offense, keep the run game involved as well. Because 10 points, nothing in Canadian football as far as the lead goes.
Ford again, empty backfield, quickly to the right. On that hitch, it is Keon Julian Grant. Started his career and spent 5 seasons with the Montreal Alouettes, but Ronald Kent Jr. comes in to stop Keon Julian Grant. So he picks up a catch as a member of the Edmonton Elks.
Yeah, these slot-back screens, you need to get a block right at the point of attack, right at the guy who's covering the screen player. And that, in that case, was Ronald Kent. He didn't get blocked, made the tackle.
Loss of a yard. BC 49, second and 11. Ford's under pressure. He takes off again. Another running quarterback down inside the 40 and close to a first down. It'll be very close with seconds ticking away until three-quarter time.
Yeah, I still think they got it. By the looks of the mark, they're going to be a couple yards short. Mark Killam's got a decision to make. He's in field goal range, but his kicker has been
a struggle.
He's got a bit of a hook.
His kicker, Vincent Blanchard, has missed an extra point and a couple of field goals wide left. So
I'm going to guess here, but I would suggest that that's influencing this decision on third down because it's a long two.
Field goal try would be about 47, so they are going. Zeros in the clock until three-quarter time. Last play. Ford, the pass to, and he's forced to run around. He is being chased by Matthew Betts. He turns around. He's way back there. Gets rid of it. Open and caught. Rankin. Oh, what a play. Down inside the 20. Still going. 10, 5. Oh, just pushed out of bounds at the 1. Talk about making something out of nothing.
Wow.
On the last play of this third quarter as Ford is running around and finds Rankin to get Edmonton close to the BC end zone.
Edmonton Elk fans, I'm telling you right now, and with Trey Ford at the controls, get ready to say, wow, a bunch this season. Incredible play.
Let's just take a break for a moment. We're at three-quarter time. This game's getting closer. Still 1 quarter to play through 3. Edmonton's down 10, but threatening. And here are the numbers so far. Offensively, still better by BC.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that play and how many yards that Trey Ford gave up there to make that play happen. I mean, the entire defensive line were rushing, lost their angles, lost their wind. This took 18 seconds on second and long. Ford gave up, 25 yards, and then finds Rankin downfield to convert, keep the drive alive. So, Edmonton fans, get used to having some fun watching that. I mean, I said it last year, but in my time in this league, I've not seen a guy that can do it like that. Doug Flutie was great, don't get me wrong, when it came to escaping like that, but not like Trey Ford.
And sets him up to start the fourth quarter right down to the 2. Oh, what a play. Edmonton can get right back in it. Handing off. Rankin looking to finish the job. Driving. No, needs 2 yards away. But it would, by the way, a great effort by Rankin after that catch, after that play made by Ford.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I'm not comparing Doug Flutie and Trey Ford. What I am doing is talking about his scrambling ability and his escape ability and just how he can keep a play alive for 18 seconds, give up 20 yards with confidence, and then find Rankin downfield. How can they convert?
Some big offensive plays, and yet we've seen some big defense, too, in this situation at the goal line. We saw it from Edmonton, denying BC in the first half. Trying again, pushing, touchdown. Cody Fajardo in short yardage, gets that one in. Another touchdown in his first game as a member of the Edmonton Elks for the former Alouettes quarterback, Cody Fajardo. And pending the point after, they could be back within 3 points.
When we talked to Trey Ford this week, I asked him how it was going with Cody Fajardo and how he was you know, finding his way in a role that was completely different to what he's used to. I mean, he was a championship quarterback a couple of years ago in Montreal. Was a starter last year. Davis Alexander, I get it. A lot to love there. And congratulations to Montreal and him on that first win. But Trey Ford said he has been nothing but a great pro and really helping me in the meeting rooms.
This is a big point after. Trying to get within 3, and it's been a rough night as it goes left again for Blanchard, but he does get it through, and a much-needed point after 3 misses earlier in this game. It's a 17-14 score.
Well, let's show you one more time and just bring it back. Drop down the card. And okay, so he's about 10-15 yards deep here, spins out of this, and that's a DB, not a defensive lineman that he ran away from on that blind turn, and then finds Rankin, heads up downfield. That's fun, man. That's fun.
And he didn't take the sack. If he did, BC's already in field goal range.
Exactly.
Because that would have been a turnover on down. So
Cody right now is going, I don't know how you did that, but okay. Back at the tablet.
Well, both had use of their legs in that scoring drive. Finished off by Fajardo, but all the running around to set up that pass. Long pass to his running back, Rankin. Did a lot of work to get it down near the goal line. And here we go. Fourth quarter. 13 and a half minutes to go, and it's a 3-point game, BC. The last 2 times they've had the ball, they have had touchdown drives. Nathan Rourke to Stanley Berryhill. Open behind coverage.
That last drive by the BC Lions started at the 3-yard line. Nathan Rourke had 2 big runs in that. Speaking of runs from your quarterback, a 13-yarder and a 22-yard.
And so, about to be BC's ball again. And that kickoff. Jermaine Jackson. Oh, nearly tripped up. Keeps his feet for a while, but not that time. Joel DeBlanco coming in on special teams with that one. NBA Finals presented by DoorDash continues. Game 4. OKC Thunder taking on the Pacers in Indiana. You can tune into that one coming up Friday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, right here on TSN. Back here at BC Place on a gorgeous night in Vancouver as night sets in, but this is the final game of Week 1. An interesting opening weekend with a victory by Saskatchewan over Ottawa at home. The Alouettes last night over the Argos, the defending champions. Earlier today, Calgary at home against Bo Levi Mitchell and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And now a 3-point game. Close now. Rourke throwing. He needs caught. Big Javon Catoy has had himself a busy night. And he gets that one up to the 45 of BC.
There's the sit-down route against the blitz, zone blitz.
And for Catoy, targeted 8 times. That's 6 catches for 71 yards now. You see trying to steal momentum right back. Rourke again. One-on-one. Devondrick Bynum is right in there on Keon Hatcher, and it's incomplete.
That's just an outstanding football play by both Bynum and Hatcher. They're battling for this. Great coverage. Fight through it. Don't get the PI. Hatcher almost pinned that against his helmet.
I was thinking of David Tyree in the Super Bowl, New York Giants, trying to pin that thing against the helmet. Nearly. Bynum, good first year with Edmonton last year at 5 interceptions. BC 45, 2nd and 10. Empty backfield, Rourke. And caught the first down. Close to the 45 of Edmonton. Stanley Berryhill having himself a game in this season opener. And a first down for BC, quickly getting up over the ball.
Yeah, Nathan Rourke has been on time with these throws because you just, the timing here is just give it a split second to allow your receiver to clear the coverage. He did that.
Justin McInnes, so they're working tempo, working fast. Another first down as they quickly get down to around the 35 of Edmonton.
And Buck Pierce calling the plays has been mixing it up a little bit. That deep dig route was from drop back. Now he got Nathan Rourke on the roll on the second down, on the next first down, I should say, because they moved the chains on that long throw over the middle. So mixing it up, making it tough to find out where that quarterback is for the defense.
Just inside the 35. Here comes BC, leading by 3, looking for more. The fake, it's complete again to Hatcher inside the 20. Keon Hatcher. It's such a great thing working with Nathan Rourke back in Rourke's dynamic year of 2022.
Hatcher last year was fighting through an injury, recovering from an injury the year before. Just as Farhan talked about off the top when he interviewed Hatcher, you know, it was really a tough season for him bouncing back from the injury, but he is back. He is healthy. Nathan Rourke's gone to him a bunch tonight.
4 catches, 52 yards. And lots of time for Rourke. Moving off to the left, couldn't find a target. And tiptoes out of bounds after picking up only a couple on that first down play.
Nathan Rourke over 300 yards passing, couple of touchdowns, and we still have 10:34 to go.
Interesting game. The momentum swings, and certainly for Rourke and that BC offense, the ability to move the ball down the field, certainly in this second half.
Oh, he looks good. He looks sharp.
I was going to say, you know, that'll be the obvious question, the comparisons to 2022, which were so incredible as they happened, and then comparisons to last year where the bar was set high and it was tough for him coming in halfway through the season. Just like what they see right now in a 3-man rush with time end zone. Touchdown! Justin McInnes. Rourke to McInnes. They weren't teammates in 22. But they've connected here in 25 on opening night as BC opens it up again.
Yeah, just one target for Justin McInnes in the first half from Nathan Rourke, and they've made some adjustments. He's had a few already in this second half. This the biggest, 4th catch of the half for McInnes. He's the deep out route. Couple of options there for Rourke on that left side of the formation, but the out route in the end zone was open. Touchdown BC, and they have an answer.
A 7-play answer for 86 yards in 2.5 minutes. And after what Edmonton did to get it closer, disheartening to see what BC's offense has been able to do. 3 touchdown drives in this second half. 3 touchdown passes for Nathan Rourke. That one to Justin McInnes.
You know, we thought with Buck Pierce, the former offensive coordinator in Winnipeg, we would see a little bit of the offense that looks a little bit like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is Justin McInnes in pre-snap motion. Now stop it right there, because McInnes is going to be the deep out. Hatcher's going to cross, and then into the flat goes James Butler. Does that remind you, Rod, a little bit if you look at 18 on this play and say, that looks like a Dembski route right there?
There you go. Inviting comparisons there to the Bombers when Buck Pierce was there, and it's Arkel Smith who, coming into that return, had 2 returns off the kickoff for 98 yards. That's some big ones. That one does get up to the 40. There's McInnes looking to follow up in just a brilliant season he had in 2024.
Well, that's the answer that Buck Pierce wanted from his offense. Trey Ford got his bench excited with that big 18-second long run and throw to convert. Ended up with a touchdown there, made it a 3-point game, and Nathan Rourke comes right back out and says, "I'll put another 7 on the board and get that 10-point lead again."
See if we can get into some kind of back and forth between these Canadian QBs. Rourke and Ford. Ford's turn. Off to his left. High point there from Mathis. Hangs onto the ball. And he pays the price there, but good on him for hanging on to it as he's slow to get up.
Yeah, and Trey Ford just a little bit off on this throw. He leads it to the front of Mathis, And where Mathis is wanted is right about there, so he can jump for it there and be able to turn around and come down before the defender gets there and cut out his legs.
That's the defender there.
Yeah, Robert Carter.
Robert Carter. They like him.
I think the injury spotter is going to take out Zach Mathis and get him checked on the sideline, make sure he's okay. Better second half for 81 for Edmonton. But Robert Carter comes up quickly and makes that hit.
Timer, please reset the game clock to 8:51.
Made some plays in college, too.
Oh, he did.
Robert Carter.
He went to Robert Morris,
yeah,
which is in Pittsburgh. And
7 interceptions in 21 games in college. Was a kick returner, too. Good speed, so that's good to have that versatility. One of the other reasons that you make the lineup in pro football. Cody Fajardo in on short yardage.
He had a couple of short yardage touchdowns, so here it is in a 2nd and 1. Edmonton approaching midfield. Fajardo keeps it. They get the first down. We were talking about Robert Carter, and, you know, it's irresistible to show this again. This went absolutely viral, what he did in college. Have a look. Watch the interception.
This is unbelievable. I mean, it is. Look at that.
Oh, my goodness.
Like the backhand one-hander. I mean, we'll give you an even better look here. Watch this. One hand backwards. Look at this.
Oh, it's like Odell Beckham with a twist. I mean, that was against Utah State. And just what a brilliant play by Carter. Had the hit earlier on McInnes, on Mathis, excuse me, had to leave this game. It's 1st and 10 now after the short yardage play. Back to throw, intercepted. Ben Haladic has it. Cross midfield. Big turnover, BC. Still going. He's still going. He is just tripped up down at the 2. Ben Haladic nearly had himself a pick 6. Product of UBC, veteran linebacker. Looking for that end zone. What a great run by this linebacker. Oh, so close, but they're set up nicely now.
Boy, nice disguise by Ben Haladic. He's right here now. Is he going to blitz? Is he going to drop underneath and widen? Watch what he does. He doesn't do either of those things. He drops underneath, opens his hips, goes right into the middle onto the hash mark underneath that throw. Now, it looked like the intended target on that play for Trey Ford may have run the wrong route because he was way deeper than that throw. It wasn't even close. But Ben Haladic, pretty good return, too.
61 yards sets him up, 1st to goal. Touchdown, BC, James Butler. Welcome back to Vancouver, Butler, as he finds the end zone. Back with his old squad. All set up by Haladic, who got him close. And the Lions offense finished it off.
Haladic's got the oxygen. We went to commercial, came back, ran a play. He's still sucking the oxygen tank after that 60-plus run on the interception. This nice patience here from James Butler. Just nice patience. Wait for the blocks to set up off the left side.
Hey, watch my block for you. Thanks, Ben.
And sudden change for the Lions. Turns into 7.
Yeah.
What had been a close game really opened up now by the Lions. Didn't seem that long ago. Edmonton had got it within 3.
Shut up, Ben Haladic, for giving me that time.
Lions open up their lead thanks to this big defensive play by former UBC linebacker Ben Haladic. Let's go back to Farhan.
Yeah, guys, Haladic has been a starter on this defense for the last 2.5 years, but coming into this year, I think the Lions' plan at the linebacker position was to bring in Josh Woods when he gets healthy, which is maybe a couple of weeks away, along with Micah Awe, who they brought back to BC for the third time. Now, a ratio situation because of injuries along the offensive line forced them to start Haladic in this game. But talking to Mike Benavides, he's always had confidence in him because he does have a high level of intelligence. And the one thing Haladic believes, he thinks he's got speed and can run well at that position. He showed it on that interception.
Yeah, he had reason to think he had a touchdown far on. Flag is out of the return by Javon Lake. He turns the corner. He could be gone. As mentioned, a flag was out early, but this is just what the Elks could use down 17 to get back in this game.
I think it's going to come back, and it was a block in the back. I didn't see the number.
During the return, illegal block. Edmonton, number 41. 10-yard penalty, first down.
All for naught for Mark Kellum and Javon Lake there.
Just follow these two players right here. It's going down, and Javon Lake is outrunning that. That was not...
Edmonton is challenging the ruling on the field. They believe there was not an illegal block. The play will be reviewed.
Josiah Shackle was the guy. He was number 41. They called. It's right there. See, Javon Leake is going to outrun that angle anyway. That's why it was unnecessary. But you be the judge. Is this a block, illegal block in the back?
Well, such a huge difference. Hence, yeah, it'd be hard to, I think, hard to overturn that. But
I don't blame Mark Killam for
on a touchdown, because that's the difference, right?
Huge play with 6:42 to go. He's got to try.
Especially the way the momentum has shifted in this game ever since their last touchdown.
I just don't see how that can be overturned.
Did look like a push, more or less, in the back from Josiah Shackle to negate the touchdown by Javon Lake, is to be confirmed by the command center.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It's first down, Edmonton. Edmonton is charged a team timeout.
So Mark Kellum took a shot at this stage, 6:42 in the fourth quarter. I mean, as said, just because the difference, if he could have won the challenge, would have been a touchdown. But
no, yeah, you got to try. At this point in the game, you've got to try. But we showed a couple angles. The command center would see the same thing, and it was a block in the back. Penalties for Edmonton have been a bit of an issue tonight.
Long field to work with. Back at the 16, 1st and 10. And quickly, and no, Dunbar can't hang on to that. Second down.
In the second half here, the Elks have been chasing the score, and because of that, I think they've abandoned the run game. And at this point, they almost have to. But Jordan Maksimic, again, this team last year, one of the bright spots was that it averaged 130+ yards per game rushing.
Justin Rankin was averaging nearly 8 yards a carry.
That was number 1 in the league by a long shot.
Ford's under heat again, and down he goes at the 5. BC's just taken over this game. Christian Covington coming in.
The other got him.
So Cody Grace punts it from the Edmonton end zone. Takes a hop. Gets by Jackson. So that's That's a good break for the Elks, as Jackson has to run all the way back inside his zone to get it and gets pushed out of bounds just inside their 45. So Grace just got the perfect roll right there in front of Jackson and went right by him. 5:07 on the clock, though, and just about everything Nathan Rourke and that Lions offense has done in this second half has turned to gold. Rourke is 15 of 17 for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns in the second half.
319 total.
A couple of long drives ending up with Stanley Berryhill open behind coverage for those touchdowns, and threw one later and a drive to Justin McInnes, and then a running play. James Butler the last time they were set up by their defense. That was dropped. Intended for Berryhill.
Yeah, Edmonton defensively now, they still have time, but defensively they have to get aggressive as far as getting after Nathan Rourke. And if he does get it out of there somehow, whether it's even a screen pass or something short, got to try and rip at the ball, tackle the football, which means you can miss a tackle, because that's, if you're just going straight for the football, there's a chance you can miss it, but you got to take that chance now. Try and get a turnover.
17 points, only 4.5 minutes to go here at BC Place, a 2nd and 10. So to start with, they need that defense to hold them here, forces the punt, pressure on Rourke, makes the pass, but not enough for a first down. That is Katoy, and tackled there shy of the first down.
I just want to show you a guy who cares about protecting his quarterback, and that's James Butler right there on Niles Morgan. Watch this. He takes him on right in the middle, and Niles Morgan is driving him back. But your tailback in Canadian football, you better know how to block. James Butler certainly does. He has no problem sacrificing to make sure the linebacker can't get to his quarterback.
It's one of the reasons Nathan Rourke was really happy to see Butler back with the Lions.
BC.
They were together in 22, and they both had a very good year.
Yeah, 3 possessions down. It doesn't play into this, what will, I believe, to be the strength of this offense, which will be go through the run game first, and getting Javon Leake and Justin Rankin both involved offensively running the football. In fact, Mark Killiff told us that this week. He said, early in the season, we're going to rely on our defense, and we're going to allow Trey Ford to settle into that spot, starting quarterback, through a strong run game.
Only 61 yards rushing, though, in this night for the Elks. Ford needing to throw. Unless he can do more of this. At least he slides this time as he gets it up across the 15. Took a hit earlier, but he has not been afraid to use his legs. But they have to work fast now. 3:06 on the clock. One more play before they issue the warning.
But Rankin, six attempts rushing for 17 yards. And Javon Leake just 3 carries for 5 yards. Ford is the leading rusher.
Yeah, he is 45. That's where the rush yards have really been coming from. He's again under pressure and does get rid of it. It is high for Mathis, though. Mathis back in the game with Carter there. And it sails high and it's out of bounds. Getting late as the Lions look to secure a victory on opening night. We're up off and running here in a new CFL season. Week 1 just about done. Week 2. How about this? Thursday Night Football. Buck Pierce going right back to face Mike O'Shea and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And BC looks to be 1-0 to take on the Bombers for their first game.
Big win by Calgary before our game tonight. And Saskatchewan will take on Hamilton. Edmonton gets the bye, and if Edmonton would have won tonight, a bye right after that, that's early in the season, not great.
Time ticking away at the Elks on the 2nd and 10. As BC drops back. They ultimately flush him out, and Ford trying to get as much as he can. 3rd down and short coming up.
But if you lose, you need the bye to reset. So Buck Pierce going to be happy with his response from his team, especially in the second half. You know, I think he'll go back and look at it and think that 3rd and 2 in the first quarter at midfield may have been a little bit. He got talked into that, I think, from the players on that 3rd and 2 gamble. Didn't get it. Edmonton stopped them, flipped the field immediately right there.
Good solid debut, though. And
absolutely.
2 places in his CFL career near and dear, here in Vancouver and, of course, Winnipeg, with Mike O'Shea winning a couple of championships there. Second as the offensive coordinator is Rankin on the ground. So they get the first down, but 2:07 on the clock. They're down 17 points.
Yeah, and it's 2:07 for Edmonton to run their offense. And, you know, they're not coming back 3 possessions in 2 minutes. We've seen some mighty comebacks in the final 3 minutes of Canadian football, don't get me wrong, but you know, three scores is too much. So run the offense because it's reps getting ready for your game in 2 weeks.
And it looks like Kamoko Ture, one of the newcomers on the BC defense. So it was actually him on that sack earlier in this quarter on Trey Ford. And he was hurt. Earlier in the game, he was out. And back in now, and Ture, who had some time in the NFL, Mike Benavides spoke highly of him, really likes his game, at a great camp. But this is what happened to Ture.
Getting blocked and making the tackle all at the same time.
Block from Mark Corte.
Former 2nd-round pick, the Indianapolis Colts.
Had a few years with the Colts and later went to the Chargers and the UFL last year.
When you get in Canadian football coming up from the States, whether it's college or the NFL, it's the quick 20-second clock that really gets you, and it wins you, and it looks like he's going to be fine. But that's what you got to get used to. You got to get in sort of CFL game shape, which is getting used to the quick turnaround. The plays are coming fast and furious.
So it's a 1st and 10, and counting down to 2 minutes left here in the 4th quarter.
Let's put timer. Please reset the game clock to 2:07. 2:07.
Yeah, they hadn't whistled it in yet as the clock was running. So putting it back to 2:07. Mentioning week 2 coming up. The other one, the Friday night game, Montreal at Ottawa. Interesting, too. The Red Blacks losing a close one in Regina, and the Alouettes beating the Argos last night. Ford checking it down, taking off his Rankin. And he gets it up to about the 44, but the Lions are happy to give him plays like that. 1:53 to go.
Oh, yeah, they'll allow him to throw underneath the rest of this, run this clock out. But final assessment for, you know, Trey Ford, again, some of the magic that we've seen in the past, we saw again tonight. And, you know, this is going to be a kind of find your way process for Jordan Maximic in this offense.
Gets it to Rankin again, short. Again, I think BC's okay with this, relatively speaking. We're down to about 1.5. One thing for Edmonton, though, they got to, you know, you're right. The bye is a good thing. Reset. Even with a new administration, new coach, everything else, they don't want to get into what has happened in the last few years with a rough start. They haven't won their opener since 2019.
Their final time out of the game.
But have made a lot of changes, especially on defense. They have some things that they can certainly take out of this game. But how about Nathan Rourke in the night?
Yeah, I mean, the Edmonton defense made a couple big plays in that first half. But in the second half, They went back in, looked at the tablet, got things going, and Nathan Rourke was on point in that second half. Big touchdown throw to Barry Hill, a couple as a matter of fact to Barry Hill. When he recognized blitz, he got it out of there quickly. When he knew he had time in the protection, he could sit in there, and he finds Justin McInnis late in the game here.
And yeah, how about the numbers for Nathan Rourke? The first half, not bad, showing signs, some flashes there, and then really taking off in the second half. 16 to 19, those 3 touchdown tosses. And that one complete too. You can't make comparisons. One year's it's always different than the rest. But the broader question with Nathan Rourke was, we're going to see the 2022 version or last year's version when he kind of had to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is 2022, but he looked a lot sharper, I think, than we saw from him last season. He played just part of the year.
You know, I thought that game on Vancouver Island last year was his best game when he returned from his NFL trial. But, you know, like...
Man, what a pop on Arkell Smith, who loses his helmet and is understandably still down on the turf after catching that football. Took a big hit. Deontay Williams.
Oh, let's take a look at this hit, because it almost looked like Arkell Smith was looking upfield and didn't see it coming. No, he looked right at him, didn't he?
Both helmets come off. My goodness.
And Deontay Williams led with that right shoulder. New rule change in the CFL this year that on plays like that, if a DB goes low, that will be called. If the receiver can't, that'll be a penalty. If the receiver can't protect himself in those low hits while they're trying to catch the ball, you can't do that as DB. Rule change this year.
And an awful ending for Arkell Smith, and what, even in a losing cause.
Unnecessary roughness, BC number 9. It's a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I'm not sure why.
That Arkell Smith has had a couple of big kick returns. He caught a 50-yard pass from Trey Ford in the first half that set up their go-ahead touchdown at the time. But he is heading off, say understandably, the penalty against Deontay Williams, and just a massive hit. Saw the helmets fly. So the ball comes down inside the 30.
Let me see again if he led with his shoulder or if he led with the crown of his helmet, because that would be because the receiver has a chance to regroup and prepare for this hit. And it looked to me like he led with his shoulder, and I'm not sure why that's a penalty. So it's a hard hit, no question. Right in the chest, leading with the shoulder.
29 and a 1st and 10 complete. Zach Mathis to pick up another couple of yards after getting turned around. The 1:01 on the clock. BC Lions still very much in charge, even as Edmonton moves further into their zone.
Penalties in those situations come when the receiver can't protect himself.
Right. Benjamin Victor, new receiver, his first year in the CFL. Played at Ohio State, and Victor has his first CFL grab late in this one, under a minute to go. It's a first down for Edmonton.
Now, Buck Pierce and the BC Lions, you mentioned, we showed you the next week's games, and they'll be in Winnipeg, which will those interesting storylines. But then they play Winnipeg back here in BC after that, and then go to Saskatchewan. So first 4 games for Buck Pierce is against the West. He's going to know exactly where his team's at in this division.
Jonah Tavai now getting attention from the medical staff. Buck Pierce had been the quarterback's coach under the offensive coordinator Paul LaPolice with Mike O'Shea's Bombers. Won a Grey Cup in 2019. Worked a lot, of course, with Zach Collaros. And then when Lapo left after the 19 season, took over as the OC, won the Cup again in 21. And He credited Lapo, by the way, one of the top offensive minds he said he's ever worked with, and worked with him as a quarterback, too. Back here in BC Place, he was the starting quarterback for Winnipeg in the 2011 Grey Cup. That was Paul Lapalisse, the head coach of the Bombers. They lost to the Lions that year, but...
Oh, right now, Paul Lapalisse in the studio is saying, no more, no more, no more. No, more.
Oh, I've talked to Lapo about Buck, and I'm sure Lapo is proud of the way, a protege in so many ways, to see how he has developed as a coach and getting his shot as a head coach with these BC Lions. We've even talked about the old Lions quarterback room when he was here. Trey Ford off the league, going back with the veteran Gary Peters starting at field corner and pushing him out of bounds. Yeah, by the way, Buck Pierce, his introduction to the CFL was 2005 as a quarterback with BC, when the quarterback room was Dave Dickinson and Casey Printers.
Casey Printers, yeah.
Asked him about those days.
Yeah, I remember he telling us that he kind of showed up and thought, I'm not...
You're not going to play much.
How's this going to work out?
Yeah.
And then he said, I just put my nose down, I just put my head down, and I just started working and learning from everybody, learning from Dave. And
later that quarterback room added Jarius Jackson as well in his time in D.C. Another big hit, this time Peters. And that's on Victor and Benjamin Victor, and no catch. So they're hard hitting this BC Lion team right to the end. 27 seconds to go, and what looks like a sure BC victory.
And one thing that Trey Ford's going to have to work on is at times when he's throwing those shorter routes like that one, he's got a little bit of a hitch where he holds it for that extra split second and then throws it, and it just gives the DB a chance to recover.
Third down, need a bunch. They're not going to get it either. It's off to the fingertips of Mathis, unless this flag is against BC, and that would be it.
Holding, Edmonton number 61. That penalty declined. First down, BC.
Referee Andrew Wakefield working his first CFL game as a referee.
Well, does he have to sing a song with the other referees
we'll have
when
to
he gets into the locker room?
Yeah. Enough about the quarterback room. How about the officials room?
Yeah.
But the stories are there. So turnover on downs.
I'll tell you one thing. I like his number.
Yeah, I bet you do. Bet you do. 2-7. Yeah, 20 seconds to go, and they can just put this game to bed. One of these new head coaches was going to come away with a W, and it's that man there, Buck Pierce. Former CFL quarterback. About to get a win as a CFL head coach. Nathan Rourke takes a knee. And a great night for him, especially in the second half. He's 27 of 36, 324 yards, and 3 touchdowns, all in the second half thrown, and no interceptions.
Yeah, a couple of things that really turned this game. One, the interception from Alatic, that put it out of reach, but that long drive from the 3-yard line that they converted on, that drive was a difference maker.
Week 1 is in the books, and Buck Pierce and the BC Lions start the season at 1-0. Smiles from Nathan Rourke. As said, many wondered, what are we going to see this time around? But that's pretty impressive.
Pretty
for
good.
number 12.
No question.
And for the Edmonton, there's the shower for the new head coach of the Lions, and celebrating that first win. And an embrace for another new coach in Mark Killam, whose team is a bye next week to regroup after falling to 0-1. Another look. What's coming up, Buck? What's coming up? All wet. Never so happy. Thanks for watching CFL on TSN. Have a great night.